We love beer. We love food. So how about food made from beer?
Imagine, it's my favorite time of the beer year. Holiday ales, winter warmers. It's time to jingle our bells with some great beer.
He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Mack. Now we're at Ship Bottom Brewery in Beach Haven, New Jersey, and this is What's Brewing.
What's Brewing? Brought to you in part by Monco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism Board. Download the app. Partial funding provided through a grant from the Pennsylvania Malt and Beverage Industry Board.
Hi, and welcome to What's Brewing. He's Joe Sixpack, beer expert. I'm Glen Mack, now beer drinker. We're on the road today, down the shore, Beach Haven, New Jersey. Ship Bottom Brewery, terrific place. We're really enjoying ourselves.
Loving this place. Really beautiful.
And it is now December, and December means another seasonal beer. I know you love this one. It is time for the Christmas beers. Look at you with your red sweater and everything. All right, Santa, let's do our beer trade. What you got?
Okay, yes, this is my favorite time of the year, and I thought I'd really break out something special for you, Glenn. This is Anchor Brewing, our special beer. It's or our special ale, rather. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. What makes this one really special? I've been holding on to this beer for this very moment since 2011. This is a 2011.
Since what?
Yes. This beer is
2011.
Exactly. This is one of those beers.
We hope it ages well.
Well, we do. I've not tasted this yet.
It says 2011
Yes,
right
it
now.
does.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So I pulled it out of my cellar. I used to buy this, a six-pack of this every year, and just hold on to it. Open up a bottle every year or so just to see how it aged. It's beer that's made with spices. It's a brown ale basically, but it has various spices in it, and it's a tradition to hold on to it.
I'm thinking potent.
Well, not exactly. It's not one of the stronger beers. It's
really,
for
All
a
right,
Christmas
here's to
beer. Cheers, and let's remember 2011.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice.
It still has the nice spices, a little bit of caramel flavor there. Boy, wow,
it
held
aged
up
pretty well.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Well, I brought you one of my favorites, and it's really a local beer that everybody loves. The Trogs Mad Elf, which they've been making forever. I know you've written about this before. I love it. I love the cherry in it. I love it really does to me have like a Christmas kind of taste.
Right, honey. I think
Honey.
it's all Pennsylvania ingredients with that Belgian yeast.
Yeah, look at that color, man. That's such a great color.
The thing I like about this beer is that it's fun to sort of say, well, how does it compare to last year, as if we can remember. But everybody that ever drinks this beer says, oh, it's either sweeter or it's lighter tasting or whatever than last year, and that's part of the fun of it.
Okay, so this is not a light beer. This is normally about 10% alcohol. This will knock
11% alcohol.
11%.
Yeah. Oh.
This will knock your stockings off at Christmas.
I love this beer. It's almost like a brandy of beers. Actually, these glasses probably aren't that far off of the appropriate beer size.
You might want to share a bottle with a friend or two. Now, you wrote about this a long time ago, I know.
I did. It was really, to me, one of the really first sort of totally hot beers in the Philadelphia market where people were lining up for this beer when it was first introduced. And I liked it so much that when I wrote my book about Christmas beers in 2008, I ranked it as my #1 Christmas beer.
#1 Christmas beer in the world. All right, so Joe Sixpack, what defines a Christmas beer? Like, you know,
I'm pretty lenient about it. I think it's any beer that's made for the holidays, and it should be labeled somehow in the spirit of the holidays, whether it's Christmas beer, winter warmer, holiday ale, whatever you want to call it. Some people are actually reluctant to use the word Christmas on it.
Oh,
Others
come
are
on
not.
now.
I know. It's, I don't get too really wrapped up in that, but this is one of my...
By the way, it makes a fine Hanukkah beer as well.
There we go.
Wondering.
And we are going to be tasting Hanukkah beer in an upside humming episode. I was hoping to surprise you on that one.
I didn't know there
Glenn.
was such a thing.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
But this is another one, Evil Genius, Santa, I Know Him. The famous line from Elf. They have the greatest beer names.
Okay.
And this is, as I said, Evil Genius from the Fishtown neighborhood, making some really fine beers. This one's flavored with rose hips and black currants and chamomile.
Okay. So a lot of, it's this one, right? So a lot of spice, a lot of seasonal, kind of a tummy warmer kind of beer.
Well, often they are. And, that's like the classic, really gets sort of the nod from
I like this.
Delirium Noel.
I'm getting these confused here. All right.
Exactly. Is a big, strong beer. The Belgians have been known for making really strong
Great
Christmas
bottle,
beers.
man. Look at this bottle.
Yeah. Santa
You
with
sure
his pink
you want
outfit.
to open it? It's such a beautiful bottle.
Maybe after the show.
Save that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's the tradition of having a spiced beer or a strong beer is actually part of the whole idea of the holidays, because it actually goes back before the holidays, back to the pagan times before Christmas, when you would make the greatest beer of the year for the solstice. And so that tradition is what sort of carried on through the Middle Ages, when you had the monks making beer, and right into the area, the 17th and 18th centuries, when you had the Brits making wassail, which was a spiced ale.
Yeah. So, all right, before we hit the break, show some of the others that you might recommend.
This is Rusty Railroad from the upstate Mifflinburg, making a nice porter called Snowflyer, which is actually the name, I didn't know this, of an old Model T that had skis on it, like the early snowmobile.
I missed that. Okay.
Fegley's Brewwork, Rude
we've had Fegley's before. Fegley's is good
outstanding
stuff.
beer, actually has won some awards. And if you really want to take a quick break I have to mention this one too. First time I think that Yards has made a Christmas beer. It's actually made for the PJ Wheelahan chain.
Okay.
It's sort of a light white beer with a lot of spice in it as well.
All right, very nice.
And finally, this is a Christmas beer or a holiday beer for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
This is Blizzard of Hops. It's a hoppy beer for the hotbed.
I like
to
that.
celebrate. So.
I like that.
And that's
I like
from
the look of it.
Trogs as well.
All right, so these all came in bottles. Where we are today at Ship Bottom, they sell them in cans. Is one better than the other? We'll discuss that coming up on What's Brewing.
Why walk when you can fly? Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at Ship Bottom Brewery down the shore. But while we were at break, you dived into this Yards Raising the Bar.
Yeah, this is a really nice little growler from the PJ Wheelahan's group. Yards made this beer exclusively for their chain. Poorhouses has it, a couple other joints. Really nice spot with spiced ale, really enjoying it.
All right, so as you can see, we've got a full array in front of us. We got bottles, we've got cans, and I wanted to ask you about kind of the difference. It used to be bottles were all the thing. You could always get beer in cans, but it seemed that the real serious brewers were putting it in bottles. Now, cans are almost everywhere.
They really come back big. The reason why they went to bottles, though, was to distinguish. That was craft beer. Microbreweries wanted to put beer in bottles to distinguish themselves from the typical kind of cans that Bluto was crushing against his forehead. They wanted to be something different and special. Because they were marketing themselves as being special.
All right, now Joe Sixpack, I honestly believe when I was younger, when I started drinking beer as a young man, that I could taste the metal in the can. And I can't anymore. You're telling me the cans are the same?
Well, the cans are pretty much the same. They, they have a coating inside of them, but they always did have a coating inside of them. But you know what? Some people, it's I guess it's a sensory thing, and what you're looking at is probably having a big influence on what you're drinking.
Well,
so let me just give it a quick test here.
Okay. In fact, so they did a test in 2016. Okay, market research. The journal Beverages did a test, and they had 160 people in it. And what they did is They gave them beer, making them think they were drinking out of a bottle, or then making them think they were drinking out of a can. It was the same beer,
All right.
right? 61% of the participants said they preferred the beer from the bottle. Only 11% said they preferred the beer from the can. The rest thought both tasted the same. It was the same beer, so for whatever reason, people think if it's out of a bottle, it's better.
But that's the nature of beer, isn't it? I mean, so much about beer is beyond just the flavor of beer. I mean, look at how advertising influences what choice of beer we drink.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me that they would be influenced by what it comes in.
I guess, but they think the bottle is better, but there is no difference. There is no measurable difference in the taste of beer in a bottle and can, correct?
Exactly. That's the objective look at it, but beer is subjective, and if you do think it tastes different, then it does taste different.
All right, let's talk about advantages of one or the other. The great thing about cans is they're lighter.
Exactly.
You carry a 6-pack, it is 5 pounds. A 6-pack in a bottle is 7.5 pounds.
This is a 4-pack, and the thing I like about these kinds of, you don't have a 4, here we go. I like how they stack.
Right.
Well, we can't do it there, but
easy to transport.
Right, that's a big thing for it, and that cuts down on the cost of transportation. If you can stack these things up, if it's lighter, less fuel costs.
All right, you're Joe Sixpack, so I want to ask you about quality in terms of how long it lasts. We had a beer earlier from 2011 in a bottle, but you've been cellaring that.
That's right.
Now, beer will last longer in a can?
Well,
typically?
Okay, so beer can be protected longer in a can because, first of all, it's opaque. No sun can get in there.
Right.
They're sealed pretty tightly, although there's some dispute about this little bit of oxygen here versus how much oxygen is in a can.
Mm-hmm.
That can have an impact on it. So up front, the beer is protected more, but I had figured out a long time ago, I thought that beer would rust through cans eventually.
Yeah.
And so they might not be particularly good for cellaring. But last week we tasted some beers here from Ship Bottom that had been brewed, or rather cellared from last year. Perfectly fine.
Perfectly
Really good
great.
beer.
All right, so let me give you a little history. Beer in a Can actually has a birthday, January 24th, 1935, out of Richmond, Virginia. They made it out of steel. You needed a church key to open it. Remember, you used to make the 2 holes?
Yep.
Right, and one for oxygen, you had poured it out of that?
Well, you might have made 1 hole up here or 2 holes up here. I would take 1 here and 1 at the bottom. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Shotgun.
During World War II, they banned the canning of beer for civilian use because they needed the seal, but they did make it for soldiers, and in fact, they made it out of olive cans to camouflage it, so the soldiers in the war could drink their beer without, flashing it out to the enemy. I thought that was pretty cool. And Iron Hill out of Pittsburgh, a Pennsylvania-based beer, became the first producer of beer.
Iron City.
Yes, not Iron Hill. Yeah. Right. We like Iron Hill too. Iron City out of Pittsburgh was the first to use that pull tab technology. Remember those in the 60s and 70s?
Yeah, and you had to be careful with them because if you stepped on those things with bare feet, it was horrible.
Oh, and there was litter all over them. People would do them and throw them. It was worse than cigarette butts.
Yeah, I think they're actually illegal in some states, which is
well, they
pretty
replaced
good.
it.
Yeah.
First, they used to have like the double push.
Right.
Remember that, where you could slice your finger off?
I just love the whole idea that there's been all this technology around ease of drinking beer. To me, it makes me proud to be an American.
All right, and last week we had some Dale's Pale Ale, and you say this brewery out of Colorado kind of gets some applause for being a pioneer in this regard?
They do. They weren't the first craft brewer to put beer in a can. I remember when Dock Street beer was in cans when Henry Ortlieb, an old name in Philadelphia Brewing, owned the place, and he put the beer in a can because he realized it was easier to take it onto his boat when he was fishing.
All right, Joe Sixpack, so bottom line, I got a can, I got a bottle. You got a preference?
Well, for normal everyday drink in the can, nice and easy to transport. But for a stronger beer, maybe a Belgian beer with high carbonation, I'll go with the bottle.
Oh, there you go. All right, coming up, we love food as much as we love beer. So if you make food out of beer, how good is that? We'll find out next on What's Brewing. welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at Ship Bottom Brewery down the shore, Long Beach Island today. Joe Sixpack, I'm Glenn Mack. Now look, we like beer, we like food.
Right.
And we like to talk about food on the show. We found some foods made with beer. I've not tried these. I think you haven't either. We're going to give it a try.
Let's give it a go. And
All right.
appropriate that we brought our own food here to New Jersey, where they're not allowed to serve food at these breweries.
Right, although they have a nice arrangement with the deli downstairs. So this is Guinness flavored potato chips made by Bert's Thick Cut Potato Chips.
All right.
So I looked at the ingredients. Here, take some. And basically what it is they have malt flavoring in them and cocoa flavoring in them, which I guess they're able to approximate Guinness. There's no alcohol.
There's no Guinness in here?
There's no actual Guinness or alcohol. I mean, the ingredients are potato, sunflower oil, yeast powder, sugar, buttermilk powder, rice flour, cocoa powder, barley malt, extract powder, cream powder, contains milk. Any good?
They're potato chips, and I'd rather have. I don't taste any sort of beer flavor
I got
there.
a slight.
Do you?
Yeah, very slight. All
I'd
right.
rather just go with one of those great Pennsylvania potato chips.
Okay. Well, there you go. This is Golden Monkey cheddar spread made
now
by
we're
our friends at
talking.
Victory.
Yeah.
You want to try with a potato chip? Or you brought some crackers.
Let's use crackers
All right.
here.
Well, here you go. This is the Golden Monkey spread.
Let's try one of these nice pieces of silver
All right,
here.
and I brought the Hop Devil
All right.
spread as well. So
So-
Victory's going all out in this thing.
There you go.
Thank you very much. All right, Golden
So
Monkey.
this is the.
It's a very hoppy. Should I do this like a beer?
Actually, no. Golden Monkey's the Belgian ale.
Oh, that's what I meant. The Belgian ale, excuse me. Tastes like cheese.
Tastes like cheese, but it's cheddary, and beer does. Actually, I get the cheddar or the beer flavor, but wouldn't recognize it as Golden Monkey.
All right, well, let's try the other one.
All right.
This is the, hold on. This is the Hop Devil. So this would be the hoppy one.
So this one, the hops, you would think that the hops would come through on this
right.
one. So
All right, I don't know why I'm holding it up. Here's what it looks like. All right.
who's making this?
It says on it that, oh, that one I like. I get it. I get the hops.
It's got a little bit of a kick on it too.
Yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, it got a little spice, too. This is not bad. Victory Brewing Company, doesn't say who they're working with. This bold and creamy cheddar spread is blended with Victory's Hop Devil IPA, jalapenos, there's your kick,
All right, there we go.
and
hops
chipotle
Hops
to
and
add
peppers
a
go together.
menacingly delicious kick. This is good. I did not love the Golden Monkey. I did like the Hop Devil.
Okay, good. Let's try this. This is.
I'm sorry, other way around.
This is described as a beer spread. It's made by a company in Harleysville called Small Batch Kitchen, and they make beer spreads out of beer. In fact, the first ingredient in these is actual beer.
All
And so
right.
this one is their IPA craft beer spread, and it's made with Round Guys, who we were out
Oh, yeah,
visiting
round
not
guys.
too
All
long
right,
ago.
I got to have a potato chip to cleanse my palate.
Okay, so now this is a spread that is designed, it's sort of like a jelly, and it's designed to go along with cheese. You're really not supposed to eat it this way. Whoops.
Okay.
But you could put it on sandwiches or cheese, or you could even use it
It's a
in
little-
a crock pot with
All right,
something.
it's a little tipsy, but here we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So that's flavor that? Oh,
This is the IPA.
it's beer. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like somebody made Jell-O out of beer.
That's not such a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't love it like this. Did you say you could cook with it?
Yes, you could put it as an ingredient in, say, a meat or something like
See,
that.
I think that would be, I would like it like that.
Let's quick try one more. This is the
Yeah.
porter, made by the same company, and they don't tell you who the beer maker is on this one, but
Okay.
it is made with Pennsylvania porter.
Pennsylvania Porter. All right, let's give it a shot. Tastes like grape jelly.
Grape jelly, but with a little roasty bitterness on the back end of it.
Okay. Again, dump this into a pot roast, you might be getting more. So
Right.
to me, the winner of the group, first of all, I like potato chips, but it's just because I like potato
Right,
chips.
right. We like the,
The Hop Devil
Yep.
cheddar spread with jalapeno, that's the winner.
I would agree. I think you're right about that.
I would buy this. I would actually buy this. I think this is pretty good. All right, it is time for us to do our Pennsylvania IPA brew down. We started with a field of 16 as determined by Joe Sixpack, 4 regions around the state. we're nearing the end of the field of 8.
We are.
Right?
This is the last of the field of 8, I believe, which is the Western Pennsylvania section, and the winner in that section is Voodoo Hoodoo, really
Okay.
fine IPA over Pen IPA,
Okay.
which made it a lot longer than I expected because that's a lager brewery making an IPA, but it was a close one.
So we are down to our final 4.
Right, we are down to our final 4. Hey, do we time for a little beer news in this segment?
Yeah. What do you got?
Okay, so a couple new breweries opened up in the Philadelphia area. Mainstay Independent in the city is opening up in the former Yards location on Delaware Avenue. They just
okay.
opened up.
That's a good spot.
Brian O'Reilly, the head brewer there, used to be at Sly Fox. And 10-7 Brewing out in North Wales has just opened up. 10-7. That's police lingo for off-duty, which I love.
I thought that was bowling for the split you don't
That
want.
is
Right.
true. And finally, in a little bit of business news, Artisanal Brewing Ventures just announced that they had picked up a 3rd brewery in their portfolio, which is 6 Point. And if that name is not quite familiar, you should know that they're the owners.
Out of New York, out of Brooklyn?
Well, they're sort of a regional thing, but they also own Victory Brewing
Right.
and
They're on the one up in
right,
New York.
Southern's here in New
Yeah.
York. So we're going to see how they grow.
Good for them. They do make good product. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to the brewer of this here product at Ship Bottom Brewery. Coming up right next on What's Brewing.
Why walk when you can fly? Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at Ship Bottom Brewery, Beach Haven, New Jersey today. We're here with Jake Stablein, who is the head brewer. And Jake, here's the great thing. We have a beer, we have donuts from Linvilla Orchards, which are right in my neck of the woods. What's going on? What's the connection here?
So we've opened up a satellite location, beer garden sort of thing, at Linvilla Orchards, where people can go there and do, apple picking and that sort of stuff in the fall, and then also drink some of our beer. So what we've done is work with them. They make an apple cider donut.
Yeah, I've
with
enjoyed it many times.
Yeah. So they make it with apple cider that they've, produced on site, and then we decided to make a beer with some of their donuts.
A beer
And
with
that's what
the
you're
donut.
drinking.
So this beer has the donuts in it.
It has the donuts in it, yeah.
What else is in here? Is there actually any,
Ooh,
any
yeah,
cider in the beer
yeah.
as well?
No. There's no actual apple cider in the beer.
Cinnamon, I'm getting some nice
yes.
spice in there, yeah.
So what I did is I made the beer. I did about a dozen.
I like it.
I did about a dozen
I like
donuts per barrel of beer. Mm-hmm. And then at the tail end of fermentation, I added in a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of cardamom.
Totally for breakfast, right?
Yeah. You handle this, I'm eating for a while.
Well, listen, this is is this beer part of the Freshly Baked series? I know that that's a part of your brewing here.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
node to stoners.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that we did over the summer, where we made a series of beers based on pies. I wouldn't say this was part of it. This was definitely just a fun partnership with Linvilla.
All right, so it was sort of inspiration. Now you're going to move into donuts. But before we move too far on, let's talk a little bit about yourself, about your own background. How did you get into brewing?
I got into it. I was living overseas in Prague. At the time, I was very young. I was probably, I think, coming up on 19.
Which is of drinking age in the Czech Republic. So
Well,
you're
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I was of drinking age, and I just didn't like beer at the time, because mostly my experience with beer was, natural light and
Right.
Keystone Ice and stuff like that. So I just thought I didn't like beer.
We all start somewhere.
Yeah, you tell a Czech person that you don't like beer, they slap you in the face and give you a Pilsner.
So what did you find over there that you like? What got you drinking beer over there? Any particular styles?
It was really Czech Pilsners. They definitely hold a very special place in my heart. And I was just kind of fascinated by the fact that I was totally willing and ready and able to write off beer in general, just based on bad experiences, or at least bad tastes. And then I found this beer. It's like, oh, beer's actually really good, and it really just kind of ignited something in me where I just started reading everything I could. So it started off where I was a beer geek, and then by the time I moved back home to Denver, I just started home brewing.
Home brewing?
And then I just wanted to know everything.
Did you take lessons at all?
No, I didn't go to school for it. At the time, there really wasn't much that I could do school-wise. The Siebel Institute was around, and UC Davis had some programs. Now there's, a lot of universities are offering like brewing courses, but
So as we're here, you've got a really good and varied variety of beers.
yeah.
What's your favorite? What do you really like to make? Or is it the variety and all the different experiments that you do?
It's more so about the experimentation. So, when Rob approached me about doing like the Freshly Baked series with the pie series.
Yeah, by the way, give me the names of the three guys who it's a tribute to.
So it's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
The Dude.
Yeah.
And
Jeff Spicoli.
Jeff Spicoli. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
We
got it.
Right, the holy triumvirate of stoners. So, to follow up on Glenn's question, do you like to brew one particular style, or are you into these really multitude of styles?
I'm really into making something new. I mean, all my experience has been as a production brewer. So I got the experience as far as consistency goes, just brewing the one thing over and over again and making sure it's the same. So I have that down, and we have our beers where we do that. But then coming up with something new is really fun. He approached me about making these pie beers, and I'm like, oh, that could be fun. Like, how am I going to do that? I want to,
Well, do you find any difficulty in brewing here down at the shore? Because you have made a beer with sea salt, right?
We have, yes, with sea salt from our Barnegat Bay, just right here. We did a mango gosa. That was a collaboration with 2SP Brewing Company. So the mango is very subtle, and then, the saltiness you didn't really catch until like the back end. Yeah, there's a local restaurant here, Black Eyed Susans, that harvests their own sea salt from the Barnegat Bay.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we worked with them on it, got some of their sea salt, and made a mango gosa.
Good stuff. Well, Jake Stablein, we've really enjoyed being here today. We've really enjoyed your beers, and thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
And thanks to everybody for watching today. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, What's Brewing PA, or on Twitter at What's Brewing PA. Joe Sixpack and I will be back next week on What's Brewing.
What's Brewing? Brought to you in part by Monco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism Board. Download the app. Partial funding provided through a grant from the Pennsylvania Malt and Beverage Industry Board.